love the fact that Crescent gives them the opportunity to just go in whichever curricular direction they want. Like I was saying earlier, whether it's sports, arts, whatever it is, science, it gives them that opportunity.
I'm Glenn Herbert, and I'm an editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private schools to gain insights into their programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administrators. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
So our boys went into grade 3 and into grade 7. And the process that we followed for how to select the school really started a couple years earlier. We started going to open houses. We started talking to parents that were in the school. Our question was, should we keep them in the school that they were in until that school was grade 8, or should we pull them out earlier and move them to Crescent? And it became an easy decision when we went to multiple open houses. We saw how Crescent really shined in so many ways. The environment, the physical environment in there was so pleasant. We pictured our boys in the school for hours on end in the spring, in the winter, the open concept, the beautiful windows, the forest that surrounds it, and then also the opportunities they have that Crescent gives them for education. We didn't know at this age if they'd want sports, arts, science. Crescent literally gives boys all those opportunities on a top-notch scale. And so that also helped us. And so it became an easy decision. We have not regretted it one bit whatsoever. And it's been a fantastic experience. So the open houses, talking to other people, and then, of course, seeing other schools, comparing what would suit our boys best.
I think also the size of Crescent is an important factor. We came from a very small school, which was wonderful when the kids were young. But as they got older, we realized what kind of school environment would we want for them. And Crescent has a perfect size, not too big. It still feels very intimate, has a nice community feel, but it's not too small where after a while things get a little too familiar for the boys. I think we wanted to challenge them with new friends every year and like a larger breadth of opportunities for them educationally, co-curricularly, and Crescent offered all of those things. Like my husband said, they had beautiful facilities. They have a ravine, they have a sports dome, Innes Field, which is now bubbled in the winter, which is amazing for them if they're into that. Robotics team, which our older son was very interested in, which he took full opportunity of this year in middle school. Arts, music, it has everything, like my husband said before. And I think that was a huge factor in picking Crescent. And we're very happy with it so far.
So our boys, from the start, fortunately responded really well to moving to a new school. They love their old school. They love their teachers. They love their environment. They love their friends over there. For one of them, especially our older son, who was at grade 6, moving to grade 7 and to Crescent, really wasn't eager to move and change schools because he was going to leave his friends. Sure enough, when we started at Crescent, we asked him, how do you feel? How are you doing? Even though this was during COVID, which is not the most, friendly time, not the easiest way to meet people. You got masks on and all these, the world was upside down. And even then we were so pleased to hear that they were happy from the start. It was incredible. Whatever Crescent did, it was amazing, let alone how things are now. Hopefully, as we're moving forward, I can only imagine how much sweeter and nicer a transition would be for your boys moving into Crescent in an open environment without COVID, and having the facilities, these massive facilities, winter, summer, spring, whatever it is, making it so much more open for boys to interact. It makes things so much easier. So they responded exceptionally well. Their grades, thank goodness, were fantastic. The support that they got seems to have been excellent. So it was way better than we thought, even though they weren't eager on moving. They loved their old school, and it's fortunately been amazing.
If you ask them now, they actually have changed their minds, and they said they are very happy that they did move in hindsight, which is really nice to hear, because when we moved them, of course, parents especially, are probably thinking, am I doing the right thing? Should we move them? Should we not? Which school is appropriate for them? And in the end, we definitely made the right decision. And both boys can attest and say that they are very happy in their not even new schools anymore, their current school.
Yeah, and compared to other schools that we visited, in hindsight, if we start thinking about how they would have responded there, I really think it would have been very different. Just the physical environment, the structure of the school, the facilities, it would have been, I think, very different. So we're extremely happy with them responding so positively to Crescent.
I'd say, speaking for our younger son in grade 4, I think what he appreciates most in school and what made his transition to Crescent so much easier is that he loved his cohort. All the boys that are in his grade, they all get along really well. He had a really easy time um, jiving with all the kids that were in his grade. And I don't think it was just luck. I think across the board, he had a nice group of kids, and I think that's the norm at Crescent for the most part. I think he loved it from day one because he was able to find so many good friends right off the bat. And I also think that he really appreciates the teachers. Had a wonderful teacher in grade 3. He has a wonderful teacher now. They're all super nurturing and warm, and gave him the space to flourish and grow. And he came a long way. He's only been there for 2 years. And for sure, we can see a lot of growth that happened, both academically and socially.
Yeah, I'm still happy. In terms of our older son, who's in grade 8 now, from the start, he really loved the robotics program at Crescent, and it is an exceptionally respected program. It's not just, we have a robotics extracurricular program. I mean, this is a top-notch program that you take great pride in, and he worked hard to get into it. He got into it, and the facilities for it, the guidance that he got is second to none. He loves that. Also, just being in a program that extracurricular program that intense also has taught him a lot about how to juggle things. And Crescent is big on that: how to juggle your curriculum and your schedule, and you still have a lot of schoolwork, but you still have other responsibilities, and you manage. So he loves that. I have to say also, I'm not going to just almost jokingly say they also love the cafeteria. I wish I had that when I was a kid, but more seriously, Wednesday mornings, there's a late start. They start about an hour later, and you think, what's up with that? Why do you let these kids, wake up an hour later? Believe me, they pack in the curriculum beautifully. There's no shortage of covering enough curriculum. But having a late start, especially for someone like Hudson, who is now in grade 8, and it's getting more intense, more studying, more homework, having that one day in the middle of the week where you can just sleep in about an hour later is huge, actually. Brilliant idea for kids that can get very stressed or tired. Love that idea, and Hudson loves that also. So my hat off to Crescent for thinking of that and doing that.
As a parent, what I appreciate most about Crescent is I find the student body to be very diverse. Um, and I really appreciate the small class sizes that my kids have enjoyed the past couple of years.
I also love the fact about Crescent that, considering we have 2 boys, one went into grade 3, one into grade 7, it's hard to know which direction will go in life with respect to their personalities, their interests. I love the fact that Crescent gives them the opportunity to just go in whichever curricular direction they want. Like I was saying earlier, whether it's sports, arts, whatever it is, science, it gives them that opportunity. Unlike some other schools we went to where the resources weren't as great as what Crescent has. So I have the peace of mind that I know whichever way they'll grow, Crescent will be able to accommodate them. No question about that. So in terms of if there was anything surprising, good or bad about Crescent, believe it or not, no, there was nothing surprising, which was great. In terms of all the resources we had available to us, all the information that we're able to obtain through open houses, asking people, parents during open houses and whatnot. Yeah, everything was and has been as we were told, and it's great. We're actually extremely happy. So no surprise, no surprise is a good thing.
So, academics aside, Crescent obviously values a great education, but I think they also value character and community a lot. And they have something called Character in Action, which is their way of exposing the boys to opportunities to help them develop character outside of the classroom. So, aside from just academics, they've had plenty of outreach opportunities for the kids, even during COVID, which obviously we couldn't do trips and we couldn't do in person um, outreach or community service. They still found plenty of ways for the kids to um, help the community through food drives, clothing and boot drives. They did toy drives during the holiday. Our older son has also had an outreach co-curricular club, which he's really enjoying, and it was called the Best Buddies program. And it's just a way for them to connect with intellectually challenged individuals and form friendships and just do something outside of the box, atypical to your normal everyday um, school, which is, I think, a really great opportunity for them that they wouldn't have gotten anywhere else, I don't think.
So in terms of the typical family at Crescent, please pardon me being forward. You'd sometimes think, well, very privileged and wealthy. I'll admit, very down to earth families that sincerely care about their kids' education, their exposure to certain curriculums, social issues. Very pleasant, down to earth families, which was so pleasant, has been very pleasant. I wish we could have met more, just thanks to COVID, that's been difficult, but now there's more activities opening up for parents also. But we've been very pleasantly surprised, I have to say.
So, speaking for our younger son in grade 4, I think what he's most particularly proud of since coming to Crescent is his writing ability. Coming in grade 3, he wasn't the strongest writer, but over the past couple of years, they've done such a great job, and he's put in obviously a great effort. But his writing ability now is fantastic, and I think he's exceptionally happy with how far he's come since entering Crescent.
Yeah, I'll second that. And then in terms of our grade 8 son, he's been exceptionally proud, and for good reason, of the robotics team that he's been on. It's not an easy program, extracurricular program to be part of. There's a lot of work involved, a lot of hours involved. Somehow Crescent teaches the boys how to juggle that with a solid curriculum, and their team has done exceptionally well. So he's really proud of that, and so are we.
So even during COVID, obviously our interactions with staff and administration haven't been as great as it would have been in a typical normal year. But I can say that anytime I had any questions or concerns about the children, if I emailed them, they would get back to me right away. And they were always offering, happy to speak on the phone too, if that's what I would like. But even better, there were lots of times when we got random emails from the teachers that just said, "Oh, just FYI, something great happened today, an accomplishment or something sweet that they noticed that the kids did, helping another student out, being a good friend." um, Something like that. They would just shoot us an email and say, "Hey, you know what? I thought you'd really like this, and just wanted to share this little tidbit with you." And it was just such a nice way to feel more connected to the school and the teachers, especially during these past couple of years where interaction was limited.
Yeah, and even if there are any issues in terms of you can't do we couldn't do the in-person parent-teacher, no problem. Of course, there was Zoom as much or as little as you want. So all things considered, for a school that you might think on the surface is quite a large school, a large campus, we still get that personal touch, which is wonderful. So when it comes to reasons for recommending this school to others, what mattered to us, I'd say top three reasons. One was the huge diversity from a curriculum education point of view. Like I said earlier, we don't know how our boys will grow and what interests they'll have, won't have, what they'll want to study. Well, Crescent will cover everything, and with an immense amount of resources, whether they're into arts, sports, science, robotics. Holy cow, just phenomenal amount of resources. The diversity, second, in terms of the student body. That's huge for us. We want them exposed to a whole diversity, cultural diversity. And then we have to admit, it sounds silly, but the campus itself is stunning. It's beautiful. If I was a student, I would feel so much more comfortable being there. I would be happy to sit in a class instead of being tired, being in a place where I'm all closed in, to have massive windows with forest around me, whether it's springtime or winter time. It's so conducive to a good, fresh learning experience, which is so important. It's not just teaching robots how to learn. You got human beings, kids, boys that get distracted, they get tired. Um, so all those things together for us made it very easy in terms of why we should apply to Crescent, and we applied only to Crescent. It was a very easy decision. We didn't apply anywhere else. That's how confident and pleased we were with what we saw in Crescent versus everywhere else. We didn't even try and apply somewhere else, believe it or not. And we've not regretted it one bit.
In terms of advice to give families searching for a school, I would definitely say open house number one. Go to as many open houses as you can just to see. You never know. Sometimes you're surprised. You think one school is your school and you're gung-ho about it, and then you go and you're like, you know what? It either doesn't fit me or my child, or there's something about it that you just don't like. It actually happened to us. We did look at a school that we had high hopes about, and we went. And it definitely didn't appeal to us at all after the open house. So that's number one. Talk to as many parents as you can find that have kids that have graduated there, kids that are actually presently in the school. I know every time we found somebody who had a kid in Crescent, we just bombarded them with questions, which was actually really helpful. Try to talk to students. If you go on an open house tour, try to talk to the kids that you see in the hall or the kids doing the tours. They actually have a lot of good information and some of the little nitty-gritty questions that you may not want to ask someone who works at the school. That's a good source of information too.
And if you go into the school, if you can, even take a peek into the classrooms. Don't just follow the whoever the tour guide is. Literally, turn your neck, look into a classroom, just see, are these students falling asleep? Are they interactive? Little things like that actually can make a difference. We heard a lot of people saying, bring your son to the school, see what they say, let them decide. And believe it or not, I'm not so sure if that alone could be a deciding factor. I mean, they're so young. Do they really know what's in their best interest? It's nice. You want to make sure they go to a place they're comfortable with. But in the end, with all due respect to our boys, they're wonderful, and everyone else's boys are wonderful and smart. But I think it's up to the parents in the end to decide, what do you think would be best for them, looking at the big picture. So just letting them decide, I'm not sure if that might be the best thing. But I
I think
agree.
just going and feeling the space too. Once you're in the
Yeah.
school, um, I know what we did. We asked ourselves, would I want to be here? Like, would I want to go to this school and sit here and learn and be in this classroom and walk these halls? And it's just a good question to ask yourself once you're in the school. If you'd be happy going there yourself, if you were a kid.
Yeah, and if somehow because of this, pandemic, you cannot see the school open house, perhaps speak to parents, ask honest questions, ask them directly as many things as you can. What you're doing right now, listening to parents like us, very smart. So just keep asking questions, put yourself in their shoes, and do consider as many schools as possible because, like Janet was saying, you might be very surprised.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.